Hey Clashers, Graveyard Spell nerfed, Super Dragons buffed, but what is now the best strategy after those balance changes within the clan capital? Actually, today we are visiting the rank 4 global clan and the rank 4 local clan, who are incredible at the clan capital, and they're sharing some insights on what actually the best strategies are after those balance changes. And this means we're going to take a look at 3 different districts, and we're starting things off with the Builder's Workshop. Right after that, we're going to jump to the Capital Peak and to the Dragon Cliffs as well, and we're going to take a look at the different strategies. For this one, if you might think this is like a troll base, so this is not looking like a proper base. No, this is pretty much a maxed out village or a district with trying to defend the old meta. The old meta was using the Graveyard Spell in combination with the Hog Gliders, and then using the Battle Rams to kind of spawn the first couple of skeletons from the Graveyard Spells. And this is why the walls are so separate from the rest of the base, because you want to make sure that those wall wreckers are not tanking defenses, instead they're getting destroyed really early on. And now though, the meta has changed, and this is, instead of using the Hog Gliders, you're using now Super Dragons, and instead using only Graveyard Spell, it is now that you're adding 1 Frost, because this thing got buffed. It got a massive buff right there, and I have seen a lot of people saying, well, this is only getting balanced for pros, right below the balance change video, where I'm wondering what is going on in the mind of those players, to be honest, because, I mean, everything on the defensive side was nerfed. On offense, pretty much everything was buffed, so I'm not sure how people actually could come up with the impression of that clan capital is only getting balanced for either way. There were the comments, so I want to address this really early on and say it as it is. That's just stupid. I mean, this strategy, you can see it, it's not really that hard, and it's literally the best strategy for most of the districts. At the end of the video, I will obviously let you know like what is the overall best thing, which you should pretty much always use. And you can see by now already how powerful this is. You have the combination of the Super Dragons, Rocket Loons, and the Skeleton Barrel. The reason why you combine those is because you use the Skeleton Barrel to get wrecked, and those are then again spawning the Graveyard Skeletons to really make sure that you're distracting all of those defenses. The Freeze or the Frost spell is going to be used to take a huge part of that base and slow it down. For example, this one, the air defenses with the air bombs and everything. So everything which can target air pretty much is your target with this spell, which is probably one of the hardest things to do. And then you use the Rocket Loons to snipe out defenses and tank for your Super Dragons obviously as well. As you can tell by now, like, they're just going through this like it's butter. I have to say, it was a maxed out village, which looked like a big threat, but it just took them 2 attacks to take this out with a pretty easy strategy pretty much anyone should be able to use. So when we just speed through the remaining couple of seconds, as there's pretty much nothing left of this base, we should just jump to the next district, which is going to be the the Dragon Cliffs. And, well, after that, it's going to be Capital Peak time, so let's jump right over and see what they're using versus those districts after the balance changes. We have another well-upgraded village, and this one is going to be the district of the Dragon Cliffs. An insane annoying attack, or more like insane annoying district to attack, and it's pretty much kinda the similar style of what you have done before, but instead you're adding even more lightnings. Lightnings are now just so strong, you can use them to do many things. In addition to that, we have the other combination of having some Rocket Loons, having some Giants, and the Inferno Dragons, which were buffed as well. Pretty much the best thing you could possibly do versus those districts. So we can see he's distracting the Super Dragons and using the Inferno Dragons to really make sure that those Super Dragons are going down, because this is your main objective, okay? This is what you're going for. You're trying to take as many Super Dragons out in your first attack as possible. And if there's anything which you cannot reach, like the back-end Super Dragons right there, you're just going to use the Lightnings on them. Because the Lightning spell was buffed, you are now way easier taking those back-end Dragon Cliff buildings out. And then the Super Dragons are free, and they're just going to fly towards your army, and you can just easily take them out. So let's just showcase that perfectly with this one. So, Lightning use, lightning's used. So those 2 super dragons are now free to move wherever they want. And obviously they're going to go for your troops. As he's pushing forward through this left side, he is going to have access now to 4 super dragons. 1, 2, and then the 2 ones which are just flying across. He's waiting for the next troops to deploy because he wants those super dragons to come over and take them out really nicely, because he has still super giants to distract the super dragons, and then he has his own inferno dragons to really make sure that, well, those super dragons have no chance of doing anything. Take a look at that. They're just getting wrecked, the super dragons on defense. Another giant doing his work. And with that, those inferno dragons just did amazing. Now it's 2 more. He's trying to lure them over, getting them in range with the remaining battle rams and everything. And now adding another 2 inferno dragons to take them out nice and easy. And with this, take a look at what is left. Yes, there is a lot of defenses still left, but oh boy, they are not doing anything with the support of the super dragons on defense. Like, every single super dragon is already gone within this first attack, and that is pretty much, I think it should be a maxed out district right here. So not an easy one at all. Yes, I think it's pretty much the default layout, but pretty much everyone is using the default layout, let's be honest. So you can just copy that and, well, maybe even get it in way more swag points. But let's just double check what the second attack looks like, because the second attack now could be whatever, because you have already done the most work, and now it's just hogs and heal and the new freeze. Just make sure that you're freezing the key defenses, which is the blast bow and the single inferno tower. And at this point, it's just going to be some troops surrounded by the surrounded on the outside. Make sure that you're adding them from different angle, and then as they approach the main part of the base, you can just like overpower the rest, because you have the heal and everything already in place. You have still 8 more hogs to deploy. You just keep adding them in. Make sure that you have not too many hogs group up at important spots, which means, like, for example, bomb towers. This is like always a really bad thing, but you can tell, like, on the right side as well, we have more hogs coming in. The skeleton barrel is tanking. Everything looks really, really solid for him. And this is just going to be an easy 2-hit yet again versus another maxed out base. Remember, both of those districts we have just watched were maxed out villages, maxed out districts, which are not easy to take down in 2, especially a Dragoncliff. A maxed out Dragoncliff, taking that out in 2 is not easy whatsoever. You will see, like on YouTube, when you see like those crazy one-shots of districts or things like that, well, most of the time it's just super bad upgraded villages. On this one, it is a maxed out, so really nicely done to the Splasher guys. They are just doing incredible, and, well, it's just a huge shout out to them as well for letting me record all of this, because this is just a great showcase for everyone of you out there to copy their approaches and their plans. And it's just really, really nice to watch the top players attacking like this. But hey, this means there's one more district you want to take a look at, and that is going to be the Capital Peak. And it's yet again a nearly maxed out district. It's really impressive, but at the same time, it is the same approach pretty much versus this base. We see yet again the combination of 2 graveyard, 1 frost, and then the super dragons with the tankiness of those skeleton barrels to trigger the graveyard skeletons, make sure there's some tanking in there, and then add from time to time those rocket loons to snipe down some defenses, especially defenses like the single inferno towers. Those are like one of your biggest nightmares to take down with the beefy troops like the super dragons. He's adding again more rocket loons to take down another inferno tower, and this then means he's pushing really far into the base, and without using like any archers whatsoever. Like, you could use archers for this one as well, but you would not get as far as consistently, and like even traps do not matter that much. Like, this is, I would say, the best strategy after the balance changes. This approach with the super dragons, with the skeleton barrel, and with the rocket loons. This is kind of the default approach you should kind of do on pretty much every single district, with the only exception being the Dragoncliffs. I think you can still do this on Dragoncliffs as well, by the way, if you want to, but I think it's just better if you use the Inferno Dragon approach, which we have showcased just earlier. But then it's all about the second attack, because those top teams obviously wanted to take down the Strix in 2 attacks. And I feel like this is obviously not possible with only using the same approach. At least you need to get a little bit creative. And this is kind of the same approach as we have seen on Dragon Clips, with now instead coming in with the Hawk Gliders. I think you can take down this as well in just 3 attacks as per usual, with another couple of the default strategy approaches. But he is going to try to take this out in 2 attacks, using the P.E.K.K.A perfectly to tank, and obviously again the Frost Spell. It feels like the Frost Spell by now has to be the strongest, or at least one of the strongest spells now in the game. Graveyard Spell, surprisingly enough, after multiple nerfs, is still one of the strongest spells in the game, but I think with the housing space reduction, more like the spell housing space reduction of the Frost Spell, it overtook that spell, that Graveyard Spell, by a bit, with how effective it is, and especially with how the bases have not adapted just yet, which means it will take some time after bases will adapt, if they even adapt, since most clans use their default layouts. And those layouts, they're not that good. I mean, a lot of times they have like really stacked parts of their village where they have a lot of defense in one place. And this is where the Frost is incredible strong. And well, you can just abuse that for as long as you try, and hopefully that's going to last quite long. But this is just insanely strong. So I hope I was able to share with you the new strongest strategies for the clan capital after the balance changes, showcased by one of the best clans in the world, by the rank 4 global clan, rank 1 local clan, and a big shout out goes again to them for being well, that nice and letting me record here. Huge shout out goes to Akamaru and Luca, who are playing a lot of their accounts. And well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new, and I hope that in this next raid weekend you can smash bases left and right with those strategies. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next video. Until then, see ya and bye bye.